Thank you for joining us on Nigeria Tonight. I'm Felicity Ezewuike. Our coverage begins with a look at how Nigerians are faring under the relatively new government. It's well over 60 days since President Bola Tinubu assumed office, and the journey so far has been eventful for many citizens. What is certain, though, reactions differ. Majority are not satisfied with present state of things in the country, but are still hopeful for better days ahead. In this report, News Central's Akede interprets a survey carried out by CMC Connect.
The first 60 days of any new government are usually pivotal and mark an essential juncture, a period for making impressions, unveiling early policies, and drafting a roadmap that could determine the next direction of the nation. Here is a statistical breakdown of people's reactions to some of the economic and governance policies of the new administration so far. The data was gathered by the Strategy and Intelligence Service of CMC Connect LLP in partnership with ADSR. In governance matters, concerning the removal of petrol subsidy, 31% of the respondents were not satisfied, 26% were extremely satisfied, while 17% were very satisfied. Concerning security, the president appointed new service chiefs. 11% of respondents were satisfied, 30% were extremely satisfied, while 31% were very satisfied. The composition of the ministerial list was quite a topical issue. 36% of respondents were not satisfied with the list, 6% were extremely satisfied, while 17% were very satisfied with the list. Besides being elected as Nigeria's president, Bola Tinubu was also elected as ECOWAS chairman. Concerning his election, 22% of the respondents were not satisfied, 30% were extremely satisfied, and 22% were moderately satisfied. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) chairman was one of those suspended by the president. Responding to this, 14% were not satisfied, 36% were extremely satisfied, while 25% were very satisfied. The education sector wasn't left out. Establishment of Nigeria's Education Loan Fund got Nigerians talking. 27% were satisfied with the loan fund, 24% were extremely satisfied, while 21% were very satisfied. For the planned introduction of the yearly vehicle ownership verification fee of 1,000 naira, 55% of the respondents were not satisfied, 8% were extremely satisfied, while 11% were very satisfied. The planned removal of electricity subsidy got a lot of reaction from Nigerians. 56% were not satisfied, 7% were extremely satisfied.
To make better sense of these, we are now joined by the Director, Community Engagement for the Connected Development, Kingsley Agu. Thank you very much for giving us your time, Mr. Agu. A survey, it seems to be a novel thing. It's less than 100 days already, and we have this. What is your assessment of the reaction so far gotten from this data collected by CMC?
So, good evening, and thank you for having me. So, if you look at the survey output, you see that there is basically mixed reactions across board. You have some persons that are agreeing with the policies which the president has taken so far, while some other persons not really satisfied with that. And you would agree with me that's actually the kind of reaction you get across board. But when you look at policies that affect people directly, like the removal of fuel subsidy, you could see there's a higher percentage of people not satisfied with that, because that affects the citizens even directly. So the survey, if you ask me, kind of felt the pulse of people across board, looking at the result that came out, which is largely mixed reaction. And talking about the mixed reaction, if you look at, let's talk about even the fuel policy, the fuel subsidy removal. Look at the student loan that was brought in. Also look at some of the laws, important laws that have been signed by the president since he came on board, and not taking anything away from his assumption as the ECOWAS chair. So you keep on seeing this various and varied reaction from Nigerian citizens, and I think I quite agree with the research.
It suggests that 62% of respondents, according to that report, have faith in the ability of the government to turn things around. There are those, of course, who are very displeased. From your personal engagement in everything that we've seen so far, what's your own assessment?
Okay, let's start with so when you buy a new car, or like they will say, when a man marries a new wife, they expect that everything is going to work real well. So it's the same optimism that Nigerians are actually sharing currently, that everything is going to work perfectly okay. Looking at the fact that we have a new president, and we expect it should be able to turn around the gray areas. But if you want to look at this critically, as the president be able to turn around the fortunes across the nation, I don't think so. And a lot of persons will share the same belief with me. Because if you look at, for example, the World Bank development updates that was released sometime in, I think, June, July, showed that between the first 5 months of this year, you had more persons, close to 4 million Nigerians, dropping into the poverty mark. And just in the midst of that, I'm very sure the next quarterly World Bank development update is going to show how more Nigerians has actually dipped into the poverty line. Why is that so? Now, Nigeria runs an economy that is tied around petrol. From the foreign exchange that comes into the country, to domestic production, to domestic activities, to economic activities even within local rural communities, you find out that it has one connection or the other around the petrol sector. So whatever that happens in that sector affects every other aspect of the economy. Now you add over 200% increment in the price of petrol the moment subsidy was removed. Now I'm of the opinion that why the is to remove the subsidy in the first place? Subsidy was supposed to be removed by the end of June. It's okay to remove subsidy, but why remove subsidy when there is no plans on ground to ameliorate the sufferings which Nigerians are going to be facing? Why are there no economic stimulus to ensure that the economy
would you, Mr. Ago, what you say that is one of the...
You're having an economy that's largely driven by petrol.
I wanted to interject and ask, the survey covered other areas as well, but would it be your assessment that one of the biggest gaffes, so to speak, something that people say is a good policy, but the translation of it has been, not celebrated at all? Would you say the removal of fuel subsidy is not really the best at this time, and maybe it's one of the biggest mistakes of this administration?
So yeah, fantastic. Take out fuel subsidy. It's been bleeding the nation. But then, in what manner has the policy or as the first subsidy been put in place? So people are beginning to spend even times 3 of what they earn. People are beginning to even lose their jobs because businesses are actually spending more right now. So what it means is that when business spends more, they have to spend more to keep the business running. So they have to cut down on staff strength, and people are losing their job currently. And for those that even have their jobs, you're finding them quit because it seems like they're all working to only pay for transportation. So a good policy, but wrongly implemented. I think a lot more could have been done before that announcement was made. And this is how many days after the announcement? Since May 29, that announcement was made.
Okay, on the flip side, let's look at playing devil's advocate on this subject. Mr. Ago.
Or get the benefits of the removal of this first subsidy. What is on ground? I don't know if you've seen it, but me, I've not seen it. The only thing I've seen is just mere statement that has been made by the handlers of the president and also the president during his presidential
speech. Okay, I guess you answered what I was going to ask you, Mr. Ago. If you can hear me, Mr. Ago.
Nigerian citizens.
If you can hear me, I was going to say that some would say better late than Never. It's not always you see a government that just came on and then the first thing he's doing after acknowledging that maybe they could have done it a little differently, address the nation and reel out, efforts to serve as palliative. Are you saying that even with all of this, people are not yet feeling the impact of the palliatives, at least weeks on since the announcement?
It's exactly the point I was trying to make, because it's not enough to come on TV and make pronouncements. What are the plans on ground? For who would drive these policies on ground? The minister, for example, it took you 60 days, for example, to submit the list of ministers. Currently, the ministers do not even have portfolios. We don't even have the exact numbers of those that have been confirmed and those that have been given portfolios. No announcement on that regard. So who would drive these policies? So that's the more reason why I said it is not enough to make statements, but what plans have you put on ground to ensure that those policies are being implemented effectively? It's the same thing we've been crying out for a while right now, which is the fact that Nigeria is not lacking policies. Nigeria is not lacking laws. It has always been a problem of implementation. And
all right, let's talk about implementation. I'd like to get your suggestion to this one. The exchange rate of the naira against the US dollar. Can you hear me, Mr. Agu?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I want to ask you, the exchange rate of the naira against the US dollar is at an all-time low, and with this came high cost of everything from daily consumables to petrol and even medications. What now? You've highlighted the issues that they weren't able to accomplish and the need for them to do more. What will you suggest that the government does to protect the people from the harsh consequences of its policies? It has outlined some of them, but you are worried about the implementation. So I'd like you to suggest the way forward.
So this is what has happened to the dollar and naira exchange rate. So you have what we now have is now the dollar is now being placed in the open, the I&E windows where people come to bid, and the highest bidder takes the dollar. But for you to be able to have that effectively, it means you need to have enough dollars in your economy such that the supply will outweigh the demand. The moment the demand outweighs the supply, we will run into troubles. And that's why you see the price of $1 to naira keeps rising, because we don't have enough dollar. And how do you ensure that you stop the bleeding of the naira? You need to show up your revenue from exports, and that's bringing in foreign exchange. How do you do that? For a while now, I can't remember the last time Nigeria met its OPEC quota for crude oil exports. I can't remember the last time that happened. So we need to show up our crude oil production. That's something we can do in the immediate, so that we can actually generate enough forex to support the naira back at home. That is going to drive the currency down. Also, we also need to support social infrastructure. One of the pressures with forex is having currently in the country is people looking for school fees to pay for their wards abroad. People looking for funds to leave the country. And that's because some of the social infrastructure are not working well, or social facilities like education. So if you fix education, it means you'd have less pressure or less number of persons looking for forex to go outside the country for education. Another thing we need to do is fix our healthcare. That is also going to reduce the number of those people going outside the country to receive healthcare, and that's putting more pressure on that. So what this means is that if we're able to do this and also support our local industries to not just produce locally for us to consume, but also be able to export. So if we are not exporting, I think I've said it over and again, if we are not exporting, we cannot generate enough forex to be able to support naira and ensure that naira gets a better value in the market.
I hate to interrupt you, really. You're making such valid points and suggestions. I hate to interrupt, but I have just one more question and then we are done. I want to speak quickly. We have that details of that story coming up a little later, but I don't know if you're aware that the president has instructed the acting CBN head to quickly arrest the free fall of the naira. That free fall, do you think that that action alone, that pronouncement by the president, will have any impact? As in 40 seconds, if you can.
There are two ways. I tell people that when the president makes a statement, it is a policy. Just the same way he made the statement about the removal of fuel subsidy, and you could see the ripple effect across the country. So that statement is a statement in the right direction. But when are we going to see this intervention? In what manner? Are we going to be seeing the subsidy of the dollar, just like it was done during the time of Emefiele? That didn't do well for the economy, and that is exactly why we're suffering right now, because the dollar was the dollar was being subsidized in country, making a few persons rich, while the economy was suffering. Now that subsidy has been removed from the dollar, and everybody is now seeing the true value of naira. So there's no need for this cosmetic approach to showing up the value of naira to dollar. What we need to do is increase production. You can't overemphasize.
I guess at the heart of what you're saying, Mr. Ago, at the heart of what you're saying basically is more action, less talk. Thank you very much for giving us your time on Nigeria Tonight. We appreciate it.